call meeting to order. I think hopefully Gary will be back with us. He was there a minute ago. Call meeting to order at 6:30. Traditional lands acknowledgement. We acknowledge and respect the Indigenous peoples within these traditional lands. We are meeting today. You have the agenda. I don't believe there are any additions to the agenda, so just a motion to accept the agenda.
Well, you guys go ahead. Log in.
Okay.
Charlotte.
And I will second. And I don't think we need a second. Hi, Chris. Hey. Grab yourself a. Since the chart here, they can.
Yeah, come sit here.
Get in there though.
Yeah.
Too tight.
Yeah. Well, actually,
I really don't have any room in here, but we're good.
no, actually, normally the public doesn't sit at this table.
Well, I'm sorry. Sure.
It's confusing for if somebody else is online, they don't know who's commissioner and who's.
Can you just back it up?
Well, and you don't get a soft chair either. That's hard.
All right, and you have minutes of the April 4th meeting. This say they've been received. And we do have public time. So
We have additions to the agenda.
oh, I didn't think there were any.
I saw a hand there. I saw a hand here. That's on my hand.
Oh, that was good. That was
You were
good.
voting. I have two items I'd like to.
Oh, okay, so we got a backup then here. Yes, go ahead, Nils.
So the first one is commissioners. Okay. We should look at having or not having two commissioners from one household.
Oh, as a policy?
Yeah,
As a policy.
we don't have to decide tonight, but it's something to think about. You want to have husbands and wives on the same
Yeah.
committee.
Okay, so let's put that on, let's decide on that at our next meeting,
Okay.
but people can think that over.
Okay.
So is everyone clear on Mills' point here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Item two, I like meeting at 7:00. I
Oh,
don't like meeting at 6:30.
6:30?
And we moved to 6:30 because the commissioner who was resigned by now just wanted 6:30 because she went to sleep at 8:00, got up at 4:00. I like 7:00 meetings.
So I'm just gonna check, Gary, if we go back to 7:00 meetings, is that a hardship for you?
He's just there in name.
Oh, okay.
Two names. He's having eating dinner.
Let you know.
Gary?
I don't think we have the sound for him.
Well, I know we had it.
Did we?
Oh, yeah, he was here, but I think he might be having. Oh, hi, Gary?
Yeah, I've joined by phone. This thing cut out and it says it's rejoining. I don't know how long it's going to take. So I'll listen in by phone. I'll stay muted most of the time.
Okay, so a question, if we go back to 7:00 meeting time, is that a hardship for you?
No, not necessarily for me. Today is a little bit unusual as why I didn't show up in person, but 6:30 or 7, either one shouldn't matter.
Yeah, because we've had a suggestion here that we go back to our 7:00 meeting time. And I had no objections to that. And I just wanted to check with you because you're the one that travels the most.
Yeah, no, I'm good either way. And I'm not sure, this might join on the computer now. So I'm going to leave the phone on the side muted, just in case.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you quite well. So other commissioners, do any of you have a problem with meeting at 7 instead of 6:30? That was the traditional meeting time. Okay, so let's just, I don't know if that needs to be a motion or we just.
It's the band another half hour. The agenda for whatever number.
Yeah, so Sarah, you'll just have to let Janet know that our meeting time is being
So you're asking to, we're at the adoption of the agenda.
Yeah,
We're asking to add to the agenda.
yeah, let's get under new business. Oh, you'll have to mute your computer. I think that's your computer.
Cheryl,
Pardon me?
Cheryl,
Yeah, no,
My
so,
computer's not up.
are you sure?
I'm typing, that's it.
Okay, so we're getting some feedback from somewhere.
So you want new business or?
Let's put it under new business.
So that will be the very end.
That'll be 7.7, meeting time. Okay,
I've been very switching back.
yeah.
That.
All right, so public time, so Chris, maybe this is the best, you don't have to sit here for the whole. We do have a problem. Our arrangement with the Circle of Friends for the utilities is that we pay the base rate for the service, and then they pay for the usage. But the hot water tank, the line to it, had a leak, so it was running steadily for like I don't know how long, quite a long time. So the electrical bill was high.
How high? What's the?
Six 75.
675,
Yeah, twice.
and two high bills.
And we were troubleshooting, but the leak was not found until, because they kept on trying other things, because we could hear noises, but they thought it was sediment. Anyway, there was a lot of sleuthing, but it was a leak.
how was the usual bill?
Well, that's our problem. We don't have a usual bill because these circle building was never run during the winter. This is the first year that it's going all year long. So we don't have any comparisons to them at all.
You must be digging into archives of the medical.
So, I think we need to make some kind of a decision here. Like, I don't think it's fair to charge the circle $1,200 for usage.
Yeah.
For a problem that was undetected. But I have no idea what a monthly bill should look.
Can they tell you what the monthly is usually?
No,
No.
because everything was shut down. So I think I heard that for years, also the water was shut down too. And I think there was Evan told me one year that the water wasn't shut. And then that's why they kept the things minimal, but I don't remember what the details of that was, but they weren't eating it. They weren't, other than like 5. Anyway, I don't know if it would give any useful information to look at the ones.
I'm just thinking Fortis could say.
No,
Not if there's a history when it's not running at all.
yeah, there's no record for mentioned usage.
Except for like a long time when it was not.
Right.
Could I suggest that we split it with the 50-50?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm more than happy. There's been 2 issues. One, we had this problem, and 2, the billing hasn't been correct from CQA. So then I have to figure out which one to work. I tried, but nobody's answered.
We have equal payments and I only spent one winter here and, it's not cranked up or anything and my monthly payments right around $300 a month. Even when I'm not here.
I know but the bills are high.
So if you're looking for an average, you can use 300 would be realistic.
So if we split the bill, as Sue suggested, does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate it.
Okay, so let's do that. So I don't know if we have a motion Lynn, make the motion.
To, what half the bill for the,
People at that.
for the issues of the Circle of Friends, as it was all encompassing for everybody.
Yeah, due to the, due to the circumstance.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Seconder, Lynn motion, seconder, Mills, I think. On that one, all in favor? Yeah. So that's carried, yeah, so. We will do it that.
Awesome, thank you.
And, yeah, and for anything to do with plumbing, Don Horvath is the person to call.
Now, do I talk to your guy first to call Don Horn?
That would be the best, yeah,
That's what we did. Like we told Chief that we were
but
having difficulty.
I would really insist that,
And I did tell him,
uh,
but it's just, he was also learning.
Don has the most experience.
Absolutely.
Good building,
It's a lot too.
yes.
Yeah.
Is it just the piping or is there something wrong? with
No, there was a valve that probably froze.
Yeah, it was a new hot water tank because there was died. And it got newly installed and we just heard that there was sound coming.
Oh, okay.
We were trying to figure out and anyway, but it's a pipe underneath.
So we'll just have to be really careful winterizing this year,
Yeah.
making sure that it doesn't.
So you're putting a recommendation to the board to split that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's, anything else?
Yeah, or anything else for me, officer?
No?
I don't have anything else.
Seems like a.
Thanks for being a good crowd.
My two rockets.
Yeah, that's throw it in.
Throw chair. Well, we turn this to the table, the special table.
Yeah.
Step it up.
Thank you all for your volunteer. I know it's a.
Thank you for your good.
All right, have a lovely night.
Yeah.
Making dinner.
All right, old business, Riondel Community Association initiatives. This is just information for you. So the Community Association is working on two projects right now. One is to put sound baffles in the auditorium. And that's going ahead. That's fully funded by Columbia Basin Trust. Barry Hewson is the person directing that. So he's getting it all together. And I believe that Nils, that's done in conjunction with the men's shed as well. The baffles.
We haven't talked about it, we haven't asked.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure Barry can deal with that. Anyway, so that's a go. And it's been approved by the RDCK. And the second thing they're working on is commercialization. And that might take much longer to put together, but it is in progress. I was hoping there might be somebody here from the community association, but there isn't. So those two items, hopefully we'll move ahead in the future. Tree pruning. So,
Back to when will the boxes be in place?
oh, I'm not sure.
They're being installed?
Well, they have to be built first before they're installed. They're built locally, installed. I'm not sure. The tree pruning. I asked James Lynn to prune the orchard this year, as he's done in previous years, and so he did that. But then he suggested that we have a long-term plan for the orchard to replace some of the older trees which are in not good shape, eventually with new trees, just to keep it on. And he said that he would be willing to sort of look after if they put a new tree, make sure it was, it survived. But we can't hire him as an arborist because he is not formally licensed or formally insured. So that's a bit of an issue, and it's not resolved because I do very much appreciate having James do work like that for us, but for him to be paid by the RBCK, he has to meet their requirements. So in the future, it'll be okay for this year because it was sort of done. But in the future, we might have to reconsider, I'm sure, how that will work. Well, it is.
He's so good.
The only alternative is that well, for the orchard, that it's individuals who pay for it, which we did this year in part because it was more expensive this year. So we contributed $200 extra to pay for that. But ideally, it's a part of the town trail system. It's a nice part of the town. It would be good if we could just.
So we could have our maintenance person plant the trees. And we can buy the trees.
We could, and but I don't think we can depend on our maintenance person to maintain. It's trickier.
What does it take to maintain the new tree?
Water.
Put a fence?
Put a fence. Water has to be, you know.
Why can't our maintenance guy?
I guess we could ask.
Yep.
But again, it'd be hard for him to prune that orchard. It's just, it's just another job. But
How many trees would
I wouldn't like it.
participate?
There's either 8 or 10 trees in there.
Yeah, I'd say probably, somewhere around there.
If it's been pruned regular, it's not.
Well, it's been really good.
It hasn't been for
Well, it has.
few years.
No, it's been pruned every year, except for last year.
you know,
Last year was the only year.
maybe that's the year I noticed.
And he didn't prune it last year because he thought it didn't need it.
Wow.
So, so approach Keith and ask him if he's,
When we get your trees, are we going to get another grabbing steam?
well, the detail
Yeah.
would need to be worked out, and we'd only get like one tree. We replace one old tree with one new tree.
Well, that's not a long. Just this time of year, they need a lot of water once you plant them. And what about Evan as a, is he certified? He's very. Arborist? Well, he took a course. Yeah, I know he took a course on that kind of stuff. But maybe he could supervise. That's right.
Yeah, because
He could walk.
I don't think he could actually physically do it.
Well, he could walk.
And it's even hard for him to water because he doesn't live here, right? He's up in Maine. We really need someone local to really be responsible.
People
You can also buy those watering bags they use in cities around new trees when they plant them.
But we have some. We have like a whole set.
But you just still need to be at it, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's regular, bang, it doesn't work.
Okay, well, we could talk to Keith. Start with Keith.
Is James coming back? We don't know those things.
I don't know those. All right, we'll check with Keith. And media lab usage, that's a perennial concern of mine. We have that lab with a lot of really cool stuff in it, but it's underused. It's helped that we now have JP here to volunteer in there. So that's made a bit of a difference. And the youth group came in here last month. Maybe about 8 of them, I guess. And they had a great time.
In the media lab.
In the media. They were using the VR stuff. They were using the Mac, doing some other stuff. So I'm hoping that will continue in the new school year. They're winding down the youth group now for the summer with school finishing. But it would be really good to see a group like that use the lab right here. Because, yeah, it's just a nice resource, and some of the kids just don't have that equipment.
Right,
They don't have access to it.
well, that's good.
So,
Well, they're a good group, but they kick the dance out. You know, she's got them doing at the Weavers for she would that day the weekend they shut it down. They were over there doing the weaving for us. So it's a good group to access and feed.
and I think they would be willing to contribute some funds to the lab to like purchase games or something for VR. And so
Yeah.
it could be a good working relationship. I'm hoping it will continue in the fall when school starts again. And I'd like to see even something happen during the summer, but it's a matter of coordinating, young people.
Is it just JP? I thought there was another guy that was doing it one day a week.
No, he's not doing it anymore. It's just JP.
Is it 2 days a week?
Yeah, at best 2 days a week.
Okay.
But I think the most productive way is if a group just sets up a time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They say, in on Saturday morning or Saturday, and spend a couple hours. That would be the best.
Evan did Mother's Day pictures when they had their last Mother's Day.
Yeah, and that was
That was very popular.
Yeah, and he did those really well.
Yeah, and it was by donation, and I know they didn't get very good donations that
Which
day, too.
reminds me, the only problem right now is the printer is out of action in there, so you can't print.
He just emailed them.
Yeah, so, and I think I talked to him that time. Thanks for reminding me. I'll have to ask him if he's still available to do that
On this Mother's Day?
on Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Yeah, because,
At the tea?
yeah,
Yeah,
I did talk to him a long time ago, but I'll check in.
That would be nice.
All right, moving on, incident of vandalism. Well, the two rooms affected by that incident have been cleaned and scoured twice now. So they're as clean as they're going to get. The duct cleaners came in and they vacuumed out the furnace and the vents. So that's taken care of. So we should be sort of back to normal. But it was costly. Probably $600 bill for the duct cleaning, plus all the time. I'm sure Keith spent a full day cleaning up. Stuart Durning had to come up here from Preston.
The units themselves, it was the fire extinguishers, right? And they were found again? Or
Yes.
we didn't replace them, but yeah. Any ideas, like, the police working on it? Is there any idea?
No, they're not gonna work on it unless we have video footage we can identify.
And so nobody knows.
Fingerprint.
And they won't pay for fingerprinting again under these circumstances.
They won't come here unless somebody dies.
No, the only solution, the only solution is effective video surveillance. That's
well, if we do stumble across them, be happy to present those bills to their parents.
well, I think word has gotten out, and I think, people have been identified. Certainly not formally. But yeah, it was unfortunate just because of the way that it was costly in terms of
Yeah.
manpower
Yeah,
and money.
yeah.
And do we have,
The response now is that we inform the user groups to ensure that the doors are locked once their group is inside.
Yeah.
It's nice to leave the door open so people can come and go, because now you have to, if you're whatever group you are, you're all in, you lock the door. That's it. You don't leave the door in for stragglers.
Yeah. Only in the evening, during the day.
During the day is fine, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But in the evening, yeah.
This
so
is
are we gonna do the video surveillance? Are we getting camera?
Now that's another issue. Because I thought we could do what we've done in the past, and that's just sticking a few cameras that are linked to somebody's phone, like Keith's phone, so that we can remote monitor. We can't, because we're a government building. We fall under government surveillance codes. So the only surveillance system we can have in here is one which is formally approved for usage. Which means that there's really only one company that can install the video cameras for this building, and it would not be cheap. So
So I know before, I mean, it's a different issue, but there was some kind of grant for sort of technological improvements, wasn't there?
but this wouldn't count because it's something that has to be maintained. Like you could possibly get a grant to buy cameras, but they're the least expensive part.
You still have to go through the one supplier.
That's right. They still have to go through the supplier, and plus you have to then pay for surveillance.
Who's the supplier? Is it Chelsea?
No, it's I think a company called DHC out of Nelson.
Oh,
They do like a Creston Rec Center. They do the rec center.
have they given us a quote? Do we know?
No, I believe that.
$20,000 for 2 cameras.
Well, that was just the number that was thrown out, but we haven't gotten a formal quote.
Why did we get one? Just
Well, we have a request into the IT services
oh,
for them to look into this. So, yeah, I think we will at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it'll be a lot of money.
Just as an aside to this kind of problem in the community, my son is up in Haida, and you might have seen on the news where a guy was run over up there, killed. And the community, which is now a sovereign nation, made a decision to eliminate 3 families in the community that were selling drugs and responsible for the killing. And so they kicked these people out of town, and they had to take the boat to Prince Rupert. And then they went on, and as they were going down on the way to Prince George, all the native communities came out and put signs up and said, "Stay away." So basically it was a shunning, which is what the traditional way of dealing with things was. And it was done by the elders in the community. And it's, to me, it's the first law that I've seen happen outside of our system, and it worked. It worked. They went in also and took excavators and destroyed these people's houses, knocked them down, burnt them. So, I'm not suggesting that we can do that, but, we're in a situation where the community understands probably who did it. And if the community had that kind of sensibility, we wouldn't be stuck where we are with, and there's drug dealers in town too. I mean, it's not like there's, not problems, but we have to, we want the cost of it, right? Somebody else got to fix it. So I thought it was a breath of fresh air. I'm sure it's going to happen across Canada that Indigenous people can, step in and go.
Each band is different and have different principles, so.
Well, but shunning was a principle of losing.
Absolutely, that's very proud nation right there in Haida Gwaii for sure.
And that's the game. You lose your community, you're alone.
That's right.
And that's, it's not criminal, you're not jailed, you're not getting spanked. Goodbye. So,
but I don't know if that's something that we can act on.
no, we can't, but it's something that I see as a solution to a lot of problems that are happening, where the community understands all what's going on, can't act.
There's no consequences. Because it was that.
Well, I think that has actually sort of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a serious enough incident that it actually got through to the families, to people involved.
Okay.
I've seen an impact.
Okay. Good.
Well, it would be nice to see some money.
We won't see much, I guarantee it. But there is, I believe there is, I believe it has registered. And, you know, the video surveillance, I mean, that is what is done. I mean, I don't think you'll find a rec center anywhere that's not on camera.
And I don't think that door was locked. Getting in now.
Oh, there's a good point. Yeah. Thanks.
Put it in ourselves.
Yeah, no,
I don't know how that happened.
So, you know, that's at some point, especially if we do upgrades to this building, that probably will be part of the upgrade. Just because then there are direct consequences. If somebody comes into this building, does damage, it's recorded, it goes to the RCMP and the app.
There's fake cameras that people put up, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be known that they weren't active.
No.
The kids are smarter than that.
Yeah.
And plus, we had cameras here that were up and active.
Oh, really?
Yes, we still do actually.
A couple of years ago.
But we had a technical glitch on the one camera that could have shown us who came in.
Yeah.
The card.
So the vigilante group is not gonna happen.
No. Anyway, just to update you on the
Okay,
on
thank
the,
you.
on the, you know, how that all played out. Next item, only I'll just wait for Cheryl here.
Cable looks great.
It does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks really good.
So
Vandalism, there was, I heard 2 for sure, and maybe 4 kayaks were stolen from the campground.
Yeah.
Well, we lost one,
Mhm.
Ken lost one, and there were 2 others. So somebody who comes in, they steal them.
and that could be anybody.
Yep.
It could be anybody.
Well, it's too bad we didn't have a rack that you could actually hold it down on something and it locks.
Yeah. I think in the summertime, they're probably safe. But in the off season, you leave your kayak unlocked, because that's a nice place to leave it.
I think Ken even has his lock. I think Ken had a lock.
So they take a zip cut on a battery.
Yeah.
1 minute, you're done. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so going here, playground, the cable, Tech Cominco, donated the cable to us, which is a pretty high price item. And
I'm selling a couple of 100 feet of cable, yeah.
Because we were running into the issue again, the rope being cut because it's so easy to do. Well, now we've got steel cable and it'd be pretty secure. Keith put it in last week. And it looks good. And I did send a thank you to Tech. They're doing that. They seem really interested in sort of working with them and helping us out. They can. And community forest follow up. Gary, this is one thing I sort of left on the agenda for you. If you wanted to talk any more about the idea of establishing a community forest here in Riondel. Right?
I floated the idea to the Creston Valley Community Forest.
Yeah.
Reason being, I don't think you're going to get jump into a community forest very easily, but you could get a satellite or try. Sorry, is the volume okay? Is the sound okay?
Yeah, you sound like you got threats or something.
I'm gonna cut the video again. This computer has a program that wants to feed news items and all kinds of stuff. I just got it out of the office. I'm ready to chuck it out the window. I need to have it shut down so it doesn't try and run other things while I'm trying to do a meeting. I'll cut the video. It's going to take its time. So the idea is the sound better now?
Yes.
Is the sound okay? Okay.
Yeah.
And the little sign comes up. It says low bandwidth. Okay, so to start a community forest is a pretty extensive undertaking. The Provincial Community Forest Association right now, over the past year or so, has been working on the government to allow them to double or quadruple the size of community forests in BC. Where that's going to be easiest to do is probably where there's BC timber sale allocations. And BC timber sale allocations right now are where you guys are sitting, not so much where I'm sitting in Boswell, but from where you are down through Crawford Creek, through that drainage, up over Plaid Lake and around you and north of you. So the easiest way to get going with a community forest would be to ask one of 3 local community forests if they would be willing to establish a satellite community forest, because there's quite a bit of paperwork. You have to have a registered professional forester. There's quite a bit to do in running a community forest. It's not just a casual thing. You have to report an account to the province. So I had started with Creston Valley, and another option is Harrop or even Caslow. Creston Valley, I had talked to them and I've asked them to put it on their board meeting for a serious discussion for many months now. Part of what they do is they also support trails networks. They're allowed to support through some of their funding, the profit, as it were, off of their operation to fund different community operations. And the Trails for Creston Valley Society has interacted with East Shore Trail and Bike Association. And together, if they had a little more funding from a community forest source, they could do a lot better, either maintenance annually or even be a little more aggressive with putting in a few more trails. So last report I got back from John Chisholmore, who is the regional district stakeholder on the Creston one. He does not have any news as to whether they've had a serious conversation, but I'll push it further if it makes sense.
Is this a conversation that Farley would be involved with?
Not initially. It's trails are a nice outcome, side business of running a community forest, but you need to have the expertise. So the people I've chatted with, whether John or the people I know in the Creston Forest Group, their manager Dan or Angela French, who's their professional forester, they're the kind of people you need involved with, not trail builders. On the other side, I had a conversation just this past weekend with John Cathro. He's involved with fuel management, forest prescriptions for fire fuel reduction. And he's involved in the Caslow forest as well. So I'll keep talking to both of them. But it's not a trails thing. It's trails are a benefit of having a community forest, as well as local revenue, enhanced fuel loading reduction, access to Forest Enhancement Society BC funding, which Farley's aware of. I mean, I'll loop him into a conversation, but it's not just about trails.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for following up on this, Gary. Any questions for Gary on this? Okay.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Question is, if you have a registered forester, my brother is one, what would the responsibilities be to that forester would have if we had a community forest?
Gary?
Well, I'm a professional engineer, and I can't give you an answer before you guys are all going to go home to bed. So, not being a professional forester, I can't give you an answer before your bedtime tomorrow, probably. They have to follow all the same rules as any other logging company. But really, the biggest difference is that they don't pay a significant stumpage fee. Otherwise, they have to operate like any other harvesting operation. They have to do all the watershed assessments, have hydrological reports. They have to be aware of any water boxes, points of diversion, sensitive creeks. They have to stay back from drainages depending on the classification of the drainage, the same way as anyone would harvest anywhere else. So it's on the surface of it is no different from working for Kalashnikov or Canfor or any of the other companies. It's just that the economics of it is different because they're not paying the normal stumpage fee.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, signage. So I sent you the correspondence on the signage. It looks like what we will get for our coming into town sign is the larger directional sign modified with like historical Riondel, something about Riondel. And then a smaller directional sign on the corner pointing in the right direction. So we don't get,
The left direction.
yeah. Oh, yes, in the left direction. So we don't get people driving down Campbell Street to the dead end and turning around.
Yes, okay.
So
One easy. The extra.
no. It'll be on the corner of
Yeah, on the right.
Riondel Dollar
Yeah.
is where the direction sign will be. But I think they're putting that together now. So hopefully we'll get a new sign for the town. That one that we have there is looking pretty worn and.
Well, I read the differences between historic and historical, and they're both similar, but historical's more pinpointed. So I guess I have to accept that because it just never has made sense
I
to me.
had a problem with that too.
Historic Riondel, not historical. But if you look at the definitions,
Yeah, actually, historical I think fits better.
it's more specific.
Well, it implies that there's an interesting history behind Riondel.
Correct.
Makes it historical.
But historic, so encompasses that.
Yeah, historic is, it tends to apply more to an event.
More like an
Like a moon landing is a historic event. 9/11 was a historic.
But Nils moving to town was historic.
Hysterical.
No, that's out of our hands. But again, I think it should be here this year.
I know.
Anyway, so yeah, no cost to us, which is a really nice thing. All right, going down to new business. So we did have a resignation and the Bob resigned as commissioner in an email. So we will simply request that the board send a letter to Andrew thanking him for his service to the RDCA. So I need a motion to that effect. Jarman,
I know, but yeah.
second there,
Sure.
Lynn, all in favor? And 7.2 says potential new commissioner. That's no longer active wording. We do have a new commissioner, Charmin Horwood, has joined us. Thank you for volunteering your time, Charmin.
For sure.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And your term of office runs until December 31st, 2026. And on the topic of commissioners, Mike Stevely has also expressed an interest. Mike Stevely, I don't know, his wife, she works in the library here.
He's also he's on the Riondel Manor.
He's on the Riondel Manor board. I've worked with him when I find him very good to work with. He's got a lot of experience. And yeah, so he's contacted Gary, I believe. Good.
So,
And-
Gerald,
Yes.
I didn't actually receive notice or request directly from Mike. What I got was somebody else saying, "How about this guy?" And so I was waiting for him to actually say, "Yes, he wants to do this." It's kind of the better way to do it instead of saying, "How about this guy?"
Yeah, no, he said that he was going to contact you. So maybe he just hasn't done it. But I told him that you were the first person he should contact if he was interested.
You want him, the application sent to you?
No, he can just correspond directly with Gary, and he
Just
knows that.
email.
So hopefully you will hear from him shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and we took care of 7.3 when Chris was here, the electricity. That is done. Going on to 7.4, just again, an information item, the Riondel Community Association events. We have the Mother's Day Strawberry Social from 1:30 to 4 this coming Sunday. Not this Sunday, sorry. Yeah, it is. This coming Sunday. And this Saturday is the Saturday Social from 6 to 9. That's sponsored by a young couple here. They do it once a month. They just invite people to come in and play pool or play cards, dance if they want to, and at the gym.
What's the time on?
So this is
6 to 9. 6 to 9.
So it's still, it's standard as was set.
Yeah, 6 to 9 on Saturday. They've had they're still working, I think, on getting the word out. You know, the turnout's been really low, but they're keeping at it, and it's quite nice. We get some new people here that aren't normally here in the building, and it's a nice idea, and I hope they continue with it. 7.5 is an issue. Dumping of garden waste. This is by the Circle of Friends in the field just east of the Circle building.
Another little lane.
Yeah, and that little lane that runs sort of east, southeast. I think, and possibly we were responsible in the sense that I think our maintenance people were collecting cuttings there when they were doing things like Scotch broom control and all that. They were collecting it there before they burned it or hauled it away. But all of a sudden, somebody clued into this, and it was like, oh, here's a place in Riondel where we can dump garden waste, okay, branches.
Can we just
But that's where,
put up a trestle there at both ends?
Yeah,
Very simple trestle.
yeah, we're going to have to do something. So Stuart Durning was actually here today. I think he was meeting with Keith to try and figure out exactly what
I don't think you need to chain a lot, just a trestle.
No, and we'll need to clean that up because it's actually like the first time I looked, there was like 3 little piles there, and then the next time I looked, the whole area was full. You know, it's just the word got out, right?
but there was a Caslow couple of guys, a few months back, that last fall actually, who were cleaning that up because they needed that in order to run wires for the thing. And they looked at this and went, "Oh my God, we have to clean this up before we can do anything."
Is that area?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm surprised. I didn't think they'd run it.
yeah. Because I
That,
walked
that
through
would
there.
be Caslow Infonet.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be the
Wow.
Infonet guys doing the
Yeah, they were-
fiber optic.
Right. So they had to clean that up before they could do anything.
Well, it's definitely not clean now.
Okay.
It's been a real concern for Lawrence Eldridge. These photos, he's stupid to keep, I think.
The no dumping signs.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. There should be a no dumping sign.
Is there a spot where people could or should or
Yeah, the
may?
transfer station. It's
Oh,
free.
to take- oh, the guard.
It was in April,
Yeah, in April.
but it's still 650 per truck.
Of garden waste. Okay, so you want garden waste taken to the transfer?
Yeah, ideally.
Always.
But yeah, so that's
Or you burn
I
it.
don't have any, yeah.
yeah, it's just an issue that's come up with us.
So, Gerald.
Yes.
Maybe one message people need to have is one of the 2 things I was thinking about talking about in my report. I'll talk about it now. Down along Highway 3, the Crow's Nest on the flats, which is normally wet, especially this time of year. They had a fire along the edge of the highway in the highway ditch up to the edge of a fence that burned for about a kilometer and shut the highway down for a couple hours. It is dry enough to have a grass fire that could turn into a forest fire now. And that's the message. Because some people might think, oh, we'll dump it there, it'll compost. It won't. It's been too dry. It'll just dry out and burn. And that's the key message. And that's why we don't have a place to just dump stuff. For a few years, people were running a little north or a little south of town and finding their favorite little side road and dumping. Got to the point, it was a serious fire risk and it cost considerable money to clean it up. Whereas if you're going to take your garbage to the transfer station anyway, or I know you don't always, or load a little trailer up along with a couple of neighbors, that's the easiest way to do it. But I think the fire risk this year is going to be significant. If you're driving down the Crow's Nest on the flats, between Creston side and towards the wildlife management area, it's on the east side of the bridge. And as I say, it burned a good kilometer. And it was put out by a couple of fire departments responding. If it wasn't put out, it might have been into the trees. So that's the message for community, I guess. You're just starting a little tinder pile on the edge of your community if you can't deal with this stuff.
Yeah, I was a bit freaked out because when I was driving to the ferry on just a couple of days ago, somebody was burning on the hill. Oh, just outside of Ryan. I saw smoke out of the forest. So I thought, whoa, it's not the smartest.
And it's been breezy these last few days too, even though it's been nice.
Yeah, but I was just surprised. You smoke, there's a difference if you pile brush and you're burning right in the forest. Yeah, so Gary, maybe we can send something out to the Community Association newsletter. Just give people a warning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, danger trees. Again, not something with an easy solution. The lady that's in Winnie's house at the end of that little short Russell Lane there had a massive tree come down in her backyard. Massive tree. The root system was probably 3/4 of the way to the roof here, and it just barely missed taking out the studio by about a foot. But the question is sort of who is responsible for things like this, and in some cases, if it were on RDCK land, the RDCK might look at. But RDCK really doesn't have much land in Riondel. It's basically the land this building sits on, the regional park, and that's basically it.
What about the right of ways?
Right of ways are YRB, and YRB will listen to you. So if you have a tree by the highway that you see as dangerous, contact YRB, and they will look at it because I know that from personal experience. I had a tree across from my carport on the other side of the road that had been riddled with holes by woodpeckers. And it was a big tree and it had a lot of holes at the base. And I phoned them and I said, I'm a bit worried about this tree. And they came and they took it down. Now, how often they'll do that, I don't know, but obviously they will give you a hearing. So that's one thing. If it's close to the highway, it'd be worthwhile contacting our YRB and say, look at this baby is a danger here. But unfortunately, the area between the two strips of Russell Street there, that little park area, the little hill, is crown land. And I'm not sure, Gary, you might be able to answer this. Who would they contact if there are trees on crown land that potentially pose a hazard?
Actually, out on Pilot Point, we know there's a few hundred hazard trees, and the provincial crown reps, whether in parks or forestry, didn't seem to be that interested in doing anything. So I'm not sure if it's called open space, and you can see on the maps the difference between right of way, where Ministry of Transportation and or YRB are supposed to look after it, and these other little spots are just open space. That's, I guess, Ministry of Forests or Lands and Water. They keep changing the name. It maybe I will ask again. I'll try and chase that down a little bit more again, because I know if this is going to be a dry year, I'm going to have the same question around Pilot Point again. So I'll make a little note, do a little homework, and see which ministry would consider it if it's a tree that could damage a house or vehicles. I'll do a little checking.
Yeah, it's a nice situation because we have this open space sort of right in the middle of town, which is where the trees actually overlook homes, at the base.
Yeah, they're up above.
Yeah, they're up above.
Did it land on her property? Well, like,
It actually
Was
it
it on-
damaged the shed in the back of one house where it fell. It pricked the roof.
that would be Ron's place? No.
I'm not sure who's. Oh no, I think it's Moon's house.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But it's a miracle that it didn't do more damage.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a huge tree. And it just shows you how
When
vulnerable.
did that happen?
Must have been about a month ago, maybe.
Oh,
You know?
okay.
And then we haven't had any really major windstorms, so that tree,
It was dead.
What do we do about something like there's been on the Riondel Road, there's been a tree that's on the lines, the telephone.
I think that's Telus' responsibility.
Okay.
It's on their
So we'll
lines.
have to phone them.
Well, I'm sure they must know.
Yeah.
It's, but yeah, I think that's a Telus. They're responsible. I'm surprised it's taking that long.
Mhm.
All right, so yeah, thanks, Gary. If you can just check into that. We did. Oh, so the meeting time. So Nils, do you want to make a motion to?
I move that we go back to 7 o'clock.
Okay, a seconder for that motion, Sherman.
Yeah.
Further discussion? No, all in favor? Okay, carried. So, yeah. I'm good with that, actually, but yeah, I like the. So. All right, director's report, Gary, please.
Sure, and I think I'm going to kill the video again. It will probably help with audio.
Okay.
So yeah, the one item I did mention already, I'm pretty concerned about what kind of fire year this is going to be, at least with dry grass, that one fire down in the flats. It's quite surprising if you go by it to see how far it got. In what looked like green grass on the top, but just below it was all dry, built up duff and grass. Maybe more optimistic. James from Western Pacific Marine has indicated he would like to start up the stakeholder committee again, which I was on along with Greg Garbula and half a dozen or 8 other people, I don't know, 15 years ago, where the province wanted the ferry operator, the workers' representatives, and provincial reps to talk about how it's going, instead of getting into issues about schedule changes and wage issues and attraction and retention of employees. Not that is communities concern employees directly, but indirectly it's our concern. So I'd given James Mong a number of names or sort of positions like community champions, and I think people need to start thinking about it. It sounds like you would like to start it within the month. And I think it'd be good if we had a few people, whether representing sort of geographically, depending how far you are from the ferry and what your travel time is. I mean, obviously, anybody who lives up there, my daughter, for example, it's a lot harder for her to drive around to Nelson than me, because I have a 40-kilometer each way head start. And then maybe demographically thinking of people who would represent school aged families, people who would be accessing medical care, maybe more. So I'm hoping we'll get a fairly active group going. There's no say on how large the group would be, but it would be good for a few people, especially maybe at least a few people who remember what the different operations looked like over the years when we had late night ferries, when we whether or not we would be an advantage to actually change the schedule to on the hour, that kind of thing. So putting some deeper thought into it. So anyway, James hasn't put out a formal call, but I think among community we need to discuss who would be some of the better reps to bring the message forward. On the other side, I understand the one group is still going through lawyers. I'm standing back of that because I don't think as an elected rep I could be supporting lawyers to sue the provincial government, but we are pursuing them to get on this and determine a better, more meaningful level of essential service for all the inland ferry crossings. So we'll see where that goes. But this committee, I think, will be our greatest strength to get people on that.
Will something go out like to the Riondel Community Association about the committee so that they can send that out to their mailing list?
Yeah, I'm not sure how large the group will end up being, and if it's going to be Kootenay Lake main crossing or if it's going to be 3 ferries. If it's 3, it'll be unwieldy. You can't hold a meeting with 42 people in it, for example, and cover off discrete topics each time you sit down. So my understanding is Western Pacific Marine is supposed to convene this meeting. James hasn't indicated anything firm. I gave him some ideas. So I don't know how many reps or spots there would be, but I think we need 1 or 2 people, like somebody definitely representing community there, maybe somebody representing Crawford Bay or Great Creek, somebody with a focus on tourism, somebody with a focus on the education issues. So it's not necessarily every major community group is going to be able to have a person on it. Ideally, we'd have a few people that wear many hats. To be nice, instead of just having an association rep, maybe it'd be nice to have one who also is in business and or has a good understanding of medical needs of community and or maybe is trying to raise a younger family and understands that the choices for school and electives are not what we had when I'm looking at you two on the screen. When you were teaching, my kids were amongst a cohort of 170 children. And now there's a third of that, less than a third of that. So the opportunity in the school is already challenging in terms of electives, and a negative stigma of not having access is not going to attract more young families. So it'd be good to have a couple people chosen who are willing to speak on behalf of a few of those issues or a few of those concerns that we're facing.
Okay. Yeah, so there'll be, at some point, there'll be more information coming to pass along.
Yeah, I hope by the end of the month, if James doesn't have something in the next 2 weeks, I will hound him because it's way overdue.
Okay. Thanks, Derek. And our public has left us. Chris is no longer here, so we have no further public input. Our next meeting.
Gerald, you have Doug online if you want to ask online.
Oh, certainly, Doug. Anything? You're right. I'm not used to looking at my screen here. So, Doug, did you have any questions or any issues you'd like to raise before we close the meeting?
Yeah, as well. That's probably doesn't have this.
Oh, he's muted right now. You're muted, Doug, in case you didn't. Nope, doesn't look like it. But thanks for mentioning that, Gary. So our next meeting will be on June 3rd at 7 o'clock. Back to our old time. Thanks everybody for coming.
Okay.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Okay, I'll move to adjourn.
No, we'll give you that one.
Okay. On the sheet, the contact sheet, my number's not on there and I don't have a problem with my phone number. It's 250-225-1917.
I don't do that one.
May I ask what that is, where it says per res? What is column meaning?
Residents? Residents?
On the right.
Oh, no, per resolution. Those are board resolutions that govern, like our bylaws and all that. So, when they appoint a new commissioner, it's based on a resolution.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's just a record of resolution.
Everybody's expiry date. Gerald, yours expired.
No, he got rehired a couple
Yeah,
meetings ago.
they should have noted that.
Well, is it incorrect in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out.
Oh, I know, okay.
This expires in 2020.
25. So
I got to retire at the end of the year.
20 this year. He's
Yeah.
good, sorry.
Oh, I'm good.
And
I
the
was-
rest of you
everybody's
are starting
To
at
complain about the
2020.
wages
No,
anyway.
we're not. We're,
It's 20.
Nils and-
gonna say-
It is 2025.
When you mentioned
Lynn,
vigilante,
yours is
the group,
20.
not vigilante,
Yeah.
governing body, right?
2025.
Did that up north. You know,
Yes.
they're not a vigilante, they're